Therapists, have you noticed that when you're working with your clients, that your stuff comes up? That even if you don't want your stuff to come up, your stuff comes up? Maybe you are playing with your child client and they literally begin to play out something that feels really close to your own history. Or maybe you're interacting with the child's caregiver and all of a sudden you are reminded of an interaction that you had with one of your caregivers when you were young. Or just even the felt sense that's in the room is somehow reminding you of something from your past. And maybe it's not even conscious. Maybe you're just activated. Maybe you're noticing that there's a particular client that you're struggling to want to spend time with, and that there's something in you that's wanting to avoid just being in session with that particular child. This is our stuff coming into the room. And for a long time, there's been this idea that somehow we need to keep all this stuff outside of the room. The problem is that we can't. It's actually impossible to keep us out of the playroom. When we're in the playroom, all of us is in there. That also includes what's happening in our life outside of the playroom. It includes our own history. It includes our own reminders, associations, whatever else. All of our lived experiences are in the room with us, even if we don't want it to be. Sometimes what's in the room is on our conscious radar, and sometimes it's just not. There's just an implicit activation that's happening. Something is just pulling at something from our history. What I want to say is that this is normal. What I also want to say is that there's a really beautiful opportunity here. So rather than being afraid that this is happening, because again, it's going to happen, yes, we want to continue to further our mindful awareness and get curious about what's going on for us. And when we're able to get a little bit of insight into, part of me is getting activated in here, it produces this possibility that maybe it's not just the child that gets to heal in the playroom. That maybe, just maybe, that the reason why it's coming up in you in that moment is because it's time. That there's a gift that's just emerged in your own activation. There's a reason why it's showing up. And when we as therapists can give ourselves permission to look at it, to question it, to get curious about it, to go into it instead of shutting it off, blocking it out, trying to check it at the door, putting it in a drawer, compartmentalizing, shaming ourselves because we're having a normal experience. It provides a profound opportunity for growth, not just for us, but also for our client. I want you to think of it this way. As I'm in session and I begin to get curious about something that's being activated in me, a wound in me that hasn't yet healed, right? Some part of my history that's calling for my attention, or something that's even happening in my present day life that's it's just calling for me to pay a little bit more attention as it's being activated in the room. When I take responsibility for looking, and I take responsibility for, you know what? I'm going to do my work around this. I'm actually going to use this as an opportunity. As I do that work within myself, what it means is that I now get to show up with that very client, the one where all the activation came up, and I now get to hold whatever's happening for them in a deeper, wider, more present, and attuned way. So every time we allow ourselves to heal alongside our child clients, not only are we providing ourselves a gift, but we're providing our child clients a gift. There's a great way to think about it, which says something like this: whatever I can integrate in the past, I can hold in the present. So I'm going to say that again. Whatever it is that I'm able to integrate from my past, I'm now able to hold in the present. And sometimes those reminders about what it is that I'm not holding from my past show up in the playroom. They get reflected back to us in session. They get reflected back to us from our child clients. So, my encouragement to you is to recognize that your activation in the room is a opportunity. It's not a hindrance. It's an opportunity for a deep level of inquiry and a deep level of growth. And that you don't need to spend time trying to check yourself at the door. And you don't need to spend time trying to compartmentalize yourself and shaming yourself because you're having a human experience. Embrace all of who you are in that playroom. Commit to being curious. Take responsibility for your activation. Give yourself the gift of healing whatever wounds are coming up, and just watch your own therapeutic journey for yourself and for your client just go to a whole other level of growth